One moment, she was smiling by the edge of the spring, preparing to wash off the dust from her journey. The next, she was gone, dragged silently into the deep, dark hole hidden under the water. Her younger sister screamed, her small voice echoing through the trees, but before she could call again, a hand clamped over her mouth. "If you say anything," the slave girl growled, "I'll push you in two. And no one will ever find you." That was the beginning of a tale full of lies, cruelty, silence, and, finally, justice. In the land of Anam, many years ago, there lived a man named Ik. He came from Oku, a quiet town with large farmlands and strong traditions. Ik was known for his honesty, his strength, and his deep love for a girl named Uli. Uli lived in a town not too far away. She was the most beautiful girl in her age group, admired by many. She had smooth skin, kind eyes, and a soft voice. Many men wanted her, but her heart belonged to Ik. In those days, it was the tradition that a man who wished to marry had to pay a bride price, a dowry, to the girl's family. The dowry was usually very high, and once paid, the girl belonged to her husband. If the marriage failed, she couldn't go back home unless the dowry was returned. If her family couldn't repay the dowry, the girl was often sold into slavery. But Ek didn't care about the cost. He loved Uli. He gathered money, goats, cloth, drinks, and gifts, and gave them all to Uli's father. The father accepted, then Uli was taken into the fatting house, a traditional house where girls were well fed and pampered to prepare for marriage. There she stayed out of sight, growing healthy and strong. Ik told her parents, "When she is ready, send her to me." They agreed. But 7 years passed. By the time Uli was ready, much had changed. Her father was even richer now. He had many servants, cattle, and large farmlands. Around that time, a beautiful young girl was being sold as a slave. She had just come out of the fatting house herself, but had no family or dowry. Uli's father bought her and gave her to Uli as her personal maid. She was to follow Uli to her new home and serve her in all things. When the time came to send Uli to Ik, her little sister begged to go along. The girl had grown during those 7 years and loved her sister dearly. After some persuasion, their mother agreed. And so the three of them, Uli, her little sister, and the slave girl, began the long journey to Oku. It was a full day's walk through forest paths and hills. By evening, they reached the edge of Ik's village. Just before the town, there was a spring where travelers often stopped to drink. The spring was clear and deep, surrounded by smooth rocks and large shady trees. But the spring had a secret. It belonged to the water spirit, a powerful spirit who lived in the deep hole beneath the water. People feared the spirit and never dared to bathe there. Uli didn't know that. Tired and dusty, she decided to bathe before meeting her husband. Her sister agreed, and they both took off their wrappers. The slave girl, however, stood back, watching quietly. She knew about the water spirit. And she had a dark thought: if Uli disappears into the water, Ik will not know. He hasn't seen her in years. I can take her place. As Uli bent to scoop water, the slave girl stepped behind her and shoved her into the deep. There was a sudden splash and silence. Uli was gone. The little sister screamed in shock, but the slave girl grabbed her arm and hissed, "If you say a word, I'll throw you in two. From now on, I am Uli. I will marry Ik. And if you ever open your mouth, I'll kill you." Shaking with fear, the girl nodded. She carried the bundle of clothes and gifts meant for Ik and followed the slave girl into town. When they arrived at Ik's house, people gathered quickly. Everyone had waited for this day. Ik stepped forward, smiling. But when he saw the girl claiming to be Uli, his smile faded. She looked nothing like the woman he remembered. Her face was hard, her body was not as graceful, and her voice was not soft and kind like the Uli he had loved. But it had been 7 years. Maybe memory played tricks. Maybe time had changed her. He forced himself to accept it. He called his friends and family and prepared a feast. There was dancing and drumming, but behind the music, people whispered, "Is this the girl Ike waited 7 years for? She doesn't look like the beauty he paid for." Ike said nothing. From that day, life changed for the little sister. The fake Uli was cruel. She beat the child every day. She burned her fingers in the fire, forced her to carry heavy loads, and fed her scraps. Whenever she went to fetch water, she had to walk alone, lifting heavy pots that were too big for her. But at the spring, the girl would sit by the water and cry, "Uli, Uli, please come back." Far below the spring, in the world of the water spirit, Uli heard her sister's cries. She begged the spirit to let her go, just for a moment, to help her sister. The spirit agreed, but warned her, "You must return quickly." Uli rose from the water just as the sun was setting. Her skin shimmered like glass. She looked even more beautiful than before. She lifted the water pot and placed it gently on her sister's head. "I'm still alive," she whispered. "Be strong. One day, this will end." Then she slipped back into the water. That evening, Bahanta from the village, hiding near the spring, saw it all. He ran to Ike and said, "I saw a woman rise from the water. She helped a little girl. She looked like a spirit, but I believe she is your real wife." Ike's heart raced. The next day, he followed the hunter to the spring and hid among the trees. When Uli rose from the water, he knew at once it was her. That was the woman he loved. The bride he had waited for. Desperate to bring her back, Akpan went to a wise old woman who often made sacrifices to the water spirit. She said, "If you want the spirit to release her, you must bring these things: 1 white slave, 1 white goat, 1 white chicken, 1 white cloth, a basket of eggs." Ike found everything. On the appointed day, the old woman led a quiet procession to the spring. She called to the spirit and offered each sacrifice. The slave's throat was cut. The goat and chicken followed. Then the cloth and eggs were thrown in. The people returned home. The next morning, at dawn, Tuli stood by the spring, free at last. The old woman took her home and hid her. She sent word to Ike, who came quietly through the back door. Uli asked, "Where is my sister?" Akpan sent the hunter to fetch her. The little girl cried when she saw her sister. She had waited so long. Uli hugged her and said, "Now it's time. Go home. Say something to anger the woman. Make her chase you here." The girl went home. She walked into the house and shouted, "You're not my sister. You're just a slave. The truth will come out today." The false bride screamed, grabbed a burning stick, and chased her. But the child was fast. She reached the old woman's house and ran inside. The slave girl followed, breathing heavily, stick in hand. She froze when she saw Uli. Ike called the village together. He told the full story. The people were shocked and angry. The slave girl had no words. Her lies were finished. From that day, Uli treated her the way she had treated the little sister. She made her burn her own fingers. She beat her. She starved her. She made her pound fufu with her head. And in the end, she tied her to a tree where she died slowly, alone. From that day till now, in Anam land, it became the law. A man must go and collect his bride himself, straight from the fatting house, so that no other woman may ever take her place.